What's up, people? You're listening and watching the Rap Stock podcast presented by HipHoopJunkies.com and HoopHeadsNorth.com, and as well FanEssentials.net. This is episode 84, Hoops Talk out of Halifax. My name is Romy Aquino. I have with me
Sean Francois.
And
Huey Bang.
What's up? It's the Toronto Raptors, 50 wins, a new franchise record. I mean, it took a couple tries, but did you guys think at the beginning of the season that we'd be looking at 50 wins, 50-plus wins? I mean, there's still 8 games to play. But what did you guys think at the beginning of the season? Do you think we'd be at this point?
Yeah, because they should have been there last year. It should have been easy 50 wins last year, and then they went on that rough stretch to close out the season. So yeah, especially where they had gotten 48 and 49, and 49 the year before that. 48 the year before that and 49 last year. Yeah, I definitely thought that they were capable of it this year. I'm just glad that it actually happened.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch it now, though, because if he gets too many wins, then Dwayne Casey may not improve next year. That's his thing, improving the record every single year, right? So.
Incrementally, yeah.
Might as well rest everybody. If they get the second seed, just rest everybody the rest of the way.
Yeah, they get the second seed to kind of on lockdown. 50 wins, and so the past 3 games, we can start with the win against the Pelicans a few days ago, 115-91. It took a few tries to get their 49th win, but they were able to tie their franchise record. It was kind of a blowout. The New Orleans Pelicans kind of a depleted roster, and they kind of got nobody on that team. So the Toronto Raptors were actually able to kind of handle them. Sean, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. I mean, the game didn't really get close until the fourth quarter when they played even basketball. But like you said, the Pelicans are just decimated right now, trying to get guys healthy. And, when Alonzo G, no offense to Alonzo G, he can play. But when he kind of is the leading scorer, and really he was the playmaker too. He had 8 assists as well in that game. When he's kind of the go-to guy for the New Orleans Pelicans, that their season probably isn't in a good spot.
Yeah, it wasn't in a good spot. So it was definitely a win that the Raptors had to get. It was kind of this is kind of when the discussion starts happening with Kyle Lowry and his struggles. He went 3 of 13 from the field and 0-8 from three-point land, dealing with the elbow. So that was when kind of the talk of Kyle Lowry and his elbow has come into play, especially at the end of the season. And also in that game, it's kind of the past few games have been the emergence of Norm Powell, and he's been playing well throughout the year, but now that he's getting some starts under his belt, he's kind of showing off his athletic ability and his ability to defend. What are you guys' thoughts been with Norm Powell these past few games?
Loved it. Like you said, Romy, he stepped in, got those opportunities to start. James Johnson had plantar fasciitis for a bit, for a few games earlier in March. Coach Casey just liked the defensive matchup a little bit better to try and run some of the elite point guards off the three-point line, like the Damian Lillards and such. And so it was nice to see him come in and do a good job on the defensive end. But like you also alluded to, he's been effective offensively, and that just comes from working hard, making the most of your opportunities in the D-League with the Raptors 905, staying in the gym. Like he's always talked about after each game, he really just says, you know what, I just kept working and staying ready for when my number's called. And, he's doing the best of his abilities out there and showing his athletic prowess as well. Like you said, every game pretty much he's gotten, a nice kind of steal and a dunk or cross someone over and, really showcasing what he can do out there. So it's nice to see
cross someone over.
Yeah. It's nice
I know which one you're talking about.
Last night against Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Dewey, about that with Norm Powell?
Oh man, it's awesome. second round pick can't go wrong. Like to get a contribution from a guy like that and somebody who's willing to work that hard and be a gym rat and keep at it. Hopefully, it's going to be interesting when the playoffs come around. Like who can stay in the rotation and who can provide those spark minutes when they need it. Because there's going to be certain situations where you might be able to get in there, or whoever gets in there will have to step up. And he looks like he's ready.
Yeah, he looks like he's ready. And I mean, it's a good. I mean, this
definitely has a good confidence boost. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I know the Raptors fans. You can just tell already that they're kind of falling in love with this guy and kind of like his work ethic. And I mean, he gets in there and he gets dirty, and I mean, he's not afraid to attack the rim or whatever. So I think he's going to be a kind of like a fan favorite to root for, especially down the stretch and into the playoffs. Into the next game, we can talk about the game after the Pelicans game. They played the Oklahoma City Thunder on Monday. It was kind of a dud for the Raptors, 119-100, and it was just Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant just dominated against the Raptors. Russell Westbrook with the triple-double, 26, 12 assists and 11 rebounds, and Kevin Durant had 34 points. And then on the other side with the Raptors, it was more of Kyle Lowry struggles, 4-14, and it was a frustrating loss, but I mean, I guess it's against one of the lead teams in the West, but it was kind of a test for the Raptors, and they kind of didn't show up. So, what were you guys' thoughts on that game and what you saw from OKC, and then conversely from the Raptors?
Yeah, I mean, OKC just came out and kind of punched the Raptors in the mouth right away. Just really kept the pedal to the metal, so to speak. The Raptors didn't show enough resistance. Essentially, they tried their best to score, but didn't do a good enough job trying to stop them. I mean, OKC just ran wild. 27 points in the first quarter, 34 points in the second quarter, and then a 36-point third quarter. Man, the Raptors really didn't have an answer. So they got outclassed for sure, and like you said, Romy, Kyle Lowry's right elbow issues. He's not able to have that full extension on his shots right now, and so that reared its ugly head in that game too. So I don't know. We'll see. He says that he doesn't need the rest, and that rest isn't going to help it. And be rested in that game against Boston, and then it didn't really make much of a difference the next night that they came out and played against Houston. So we'll see. We'll just have to see how it goes, But yeah, that was a test opportunity that they came up short on for sure.
Yeah, and Kyle Lowry after that game, that's when he got his elbow drained. And he was, I know it's been a discussion on what you do kind of with Kyle Lowry, and you want to kind of be as healthy as you can going to the playoffs and what Coach Casey plans on doing. But, it sounds like Lowry's going to give it a go and see how he plays. One stat from that Thunder game, Russell Westbrook tied, this is from ESPN, Westbrook tied Michael Jordan for the most triple-doubles in a single calendar month. So he had 7 for the month of March, and Michael Jordan had it 7 back in April of 1989. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, he's just ridiculous, man. Russell Westbrook, like just watching him, I don't know how you can stop a guy like him, like when he's coming down the lane.
Well, just ask the Detroit Pistons. They stopped him the other night. Well, I don't know if they stopped him so much as they got the win, but you're right, though. There's not much you can do to stop Russell Westbrook. I mean, even he was told before the game against the Raptors that Coach Casey was going to have 2 people on him at all times, and he told them, you better put 3. And it turned to be a prophetic statement because the Raptors weren't able to stop him at all.
He's an athletic freak, man. After all those couple seasons of all those injuries, and still come back and play the way he is, it's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's been ridiculous. So let's talk about
player, special type of player, no question.
So let's talk about last night's game. The Raptors 105-97 win over the Atlanta Hawks. This was kind of a big win, and a good test to see where they are in the Eastern Conference. 50 wins. They set a franchise record. They were the only active franchise without a 50-win season up until last night, which was an interesting stat again from ESPN. And Lowry kind of had a better game, 17 points, 4 of 19, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists. So he did it on like he did it with the assists and
free throws. Got to the free throw line. Yeah, 4 of 19, not pretty.
Yeah, no, still not pretty. I know he had a sleeve on last night, and then I know he ditched it towards the end there, because I think he's kind of been frustrated with his shot, and I'm sure like the media have kind of been on him on the shooting woes. So I mean, it's just one of those things where you want to make sure he's like feeling good going into the playoffs. So I think he's just trying to get back in that groove. DeMar DeRozan, 26 points, 9 of 16 from the field, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And they kind of, I mean, they took control of this game throughout, I mean, all 4 quarters. I mean, I know Atlanta made a run in the 4th, but for the first 3 quarters, Toronto kind of had the game in hand. What are your thoughts about how they played last night? Who you liked from that performance?
Go ahead, Yui.
No, you can go first.
All right. So, I mean, like you said, Romy, the Raptors had a 22-point lead going into the 4th quarter, and that was shaping up to be a really good thing. I mean, the Raptors have had Atlanta's number this year, so it was looking like they would be rolling. But the Hawks, they're 3rd in the Eastern Conference. They're not going to lay down easily, so they put together a big 4th quarter themselves and scored 30 points in the quarter. The Raptors were only able to score 16. Obviously, they couldn't come all the way back, thankfully, and the Raptors were able to hold on for the victory. But you pointed out DeRozan, which I thought was clearly the star of the game, just because he was involved everywhere, points, rebounds, assists. And I like the spark that Norman Powell brought, especially in the 3rd quarter. He had all 10 points, all 10 of his points, I should say, in the 3rd quarter. And obviously that crossover and dunk that we alluded to, referenced earlier as well, over Dennis Schroeder. And so the young buck stepping up once again. And Coach Casey also brought him in late in the 4th quarter for some defensive purposes too. So he's seeing minutes all over. And another 2 players that I thought did a good job in last night's game, Terrence Ross and Patrick Patterson, obviously both in reserve roles, but I really liked what they brought to the game as well.
Oh, and since I've been talking about not putting the cart in front of the horse, I'm going to put the cart in front of the horse and say this is a potential 2nd-round matchup, and to see what JV did in this game, like with Lowry and DeRozan penetrating, and those guys finding JV. JV was 9 for 13, like he was just ready to get the ball whenever and pop it up really quick against their small front line. Like that could be key if they happen to meet in the 2nd round.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, JV. I mean, he played well last night as well. And Terrence Ross. I mean, he had missed a few games before last night's game, so it's good to see kind of like some of those pieces coming back, especially towards the end of the season. Now, all said and done, Toronto Raptors have 50 wins, franchise record, still 8 games to play. How many more wins do you see them getting, like, with the remaining 8 games? I know the tail end of the schedule is actually pretty favorable.
Yeah, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, like just looking at some of those games. I mean, if they do what they're supposed to do, 6-2, 5-3, something along those lines.
Yeah, is it just me, or is this year more than past years? Like more teams seem to be resting guys more, like on things like back-to-backs late and preventative kind of resting this year than in past years. It feels like you just don't know who's going to play the rest of the way for any team really.
Yeah, I definitely think it's becoming more of a trend.
Key players, star players for a while now, but I agree with you. I think that teams are doing it a little bit more often. It's becoming more prevalent, I think, across the league for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then
so yeah, it depends on. Sorry, it depends on how close they get to Cleveland. You know, if they still have a chance to catch them. If they don't have a chance to catch them, then they're pretty much set where they are. So it's just trying to keep rhythm without hurting anybody, keeping everybody rested.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you don't want to be, like you don't want to be kind of limping into
Yeah.
the playoffs or slumping into the playoffs, and then you don't have it going like we've seen. And I'm sure as most Raptors fans, like
Yeah. Oh.
50 wins, 52 wins, 53 wins, none of that really matters until you get out of the first round of the playoffs. Because I know if you ask any Raptors fan how important is this 50 wins, I mean, obviously it's the best team in franchise history, but will it be? I mean, they have to get out of the first round. I mean, that's the big question.
Only
It's
thing
all
that
leading up to
matters.
that.
The only thing that matters.
Yeah, for sure.
We're talking about these last 8 games because they have to be played. But ultimately, the ultimate question, is can you get out of the first round?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm in that mode now already, where it's like just get to the playoffs already.
Yeah,
The suspense
exactly.
is killing me.
See, that's the thing. I mean, in the game last night against Atlanta, like especially in that fourth quarter when there was a lapse where they were just Atlanta was hitting threes. They had a 22-point lead, and then they cut it in half. Then like in the playoffs, games like that you lose, and you've seen it with the Raptors before. So it's just a matter of that they can develop that I don't know, that kind of like that killer instinct to close out games and close out teams. And I think they have it. I don't know like what's going to happen now with. I mean, there was all this talk about DeMar Carroll and whether he was even going to play this season or if he's only be available for the second round if they do make it to the second round. But now, I guess the latest reports, Sean, you can talk more into this, is that he's going to try and get in before the end of the season and then get in for the playoffs.
Yeah, so like you said, the media had kept asking, and no one was giving any straight answers. No one kind of knew, or the Raptors, medical staff wasn't really saying what was going on. So they finally put DeMar Carroll in front of the media yesterday. He was made available before the game against Atlanta, and that's what he's indicated is that he's going to try and ramp up his time on the court and in rehab, and a little bit more aggressive in how they're treating it. And they got a bunch of different assessments from various doctors across the United States, and I guess they're saying that he should be fine to go ahead with the plan they've got for him. So now we'll just see if he can get back in, a few games left in the regular season, try and knock off that rust and try and get that stamina up and find a bit of a spot in the rotation for him again. Are they going to start him right away again, or are they going to ease him back in? It will be interesting to see how it all plays out. But yeah, DeMar Carroll has said that he's hoping to get back in before the end of the regular season. So now we just have to wait and see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's say you don't have DeMar Carroll for the playoffs. You think these guys can get out of the second round? Or the first round, sorry.
In the second round? Yeah. I think they can. I think they can. They just have to trust in themselves and do not get caught up in this ISO BS when the clock winds down. Do what has been working for you. Move the ball. Get yourself and your teammates the best opportunities you can to score. Don't just hold the ball at the top of the three-point line and try to make a play, because it rarely works. Just stick to what works, move the ball, and get the best scoring opportunity you can. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm literally going to lose my mind if I see that in the playoffs when the clock winds down to end a close game. I'm going to freak.
Yeah, and if you see the ball swing to like 3 different guys in the last 5 seconds for a wide open 3, you're gonna say hallelujah. It's just a matter of that trust factor, like to see if they'll be able to do it. But I mean, until you actually get in that situation and trust your teammates, I mean, they've been showing that they can do it more, definitely. Like especially early on when you started seeing guys trying to, like Biombo had a reputation for having hands of stone, but then how many like little dishes has he gotten for dunks inside this year?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to trust that, and Jonas able to go up quicker now and kicking out to guys for threes. Like, yeah, the pieces are there to contribute if they keep what you were saying going, the ball movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
defense helps too. If you can get a rhythm going with some solid defense and get maybe a couple fast breaks as well, that usually loosens you up to, fire it up a lot easier with, not too nervous.
What is your ideal first round matchup for the Raptors? I mean, it looks like, it's going to bounce back between Detroit and Indiana. I mean, obviously the Bulls you don't want to face, but it looks more along the lines that it could be Detroit or Indiana. Of those two teams, which would you prefer?
The Pacers, I think. I mean, the Raptors have had success against both, but I just think that the Pacers have more issues with inconsistency than the Pistons do. So I think in the first round, that's who the Raptors would hope to face. But right now, Detroit's in that 7th spot, which is who Toronto would play. So they have to be prepared and ready to face whoever, But we'll see.
Yeah, I think both matchups are pretty favorable, but yeah, the Bulls are the ones that I wouldn't want to see sneaking. Sorry, Sean, but they're the most potential to team that you don't want to face in the first round, just because of all the firepower and experience that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the Raptors have had no success against the Bulls.
Yeah.
So I think either of those two. I mean, Detroit and Indiana. I mean, I think it's a favorable matchup either way, but it's still the Toronto Raptors. Like until you prove it, in the playoffs. I mean, they're always going to be. I think they're always going to be like the underdog. I mean, from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. I mean, for the Raptors. One thing I want to shout out, and I'm sure everybody has seen it by now, is the Slam magazine issue 198, the Six Gods, with the big three, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and Drake on the cover. I mean, it's a pretty sick cover. You guys can talk about it, but what do you guys think of that cover?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised when I saw it. I had no idea it was coming. So when I saw it on the Slam Twitter feed, and then I went to the their Facebook page, I was like, "What? When did this go down?" And then so we saw the behind-the-scenes video and on the Slam page, and a little discussion about how they all were able to pull it together. It's pretty iconic cover for sure.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. It's Drake, right? Like it's just like as much as Drake is, has been involved with the team. From ever since he's been like the global ambassador. But it's just cool that it's not a third player. It's actually Drake that's covering it. But he's been.
I just think back to how far. Hello?
Oh, hey, what's going on? Okay.
Hey, lost you there for a second.
Yeah, me too. So say it again.
Well, I just think it's a bit like I remember years ago when Lowry was on the Houston Rockets, and it's like looking at fantasy. In Memphis, and then to see what he's doing now with the Raptors, like bringing his career to the next level, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just to see where he is. And he just celebrated his 30th birthday. So the fact that he's playing at this level, at this stage of his career, is pretty impressive. So, I kind of I like these guys. I like DeMar and Lowry and the chemistry that these two have. And it's definitely translated. How well they played the past 3 seasons. They've only gotten better, and you can see the chemistry. On and off the court. So it's kind of fun. This team is fun to watch, and we followed this team. Back when they were, when they never made, where they were never even close to making the playoffs. And you were happy to see Roko Ukic and Pops Mensah-Bonsu. Well, that was the exciting Toronto Raptors.
Keon Clark, who weighs 150 pounds on the court.
Or if you got Sean Marion, I mean, at the trade deadline, those days were terrible, and now finally this franchise is kind of is fun to watch for. For everyone. So yeah, that's
a
it.
long time coming for sure.
That's it. The next game is against Memphis on Friday, and then you have the games after that, Sean.
Yeah, so after the Memphis game, the Raptors go on, and they've got some more games to finish out the season. And essentially, we're looking at I'll grab it right here. We've got the Spurs on April 2nd, so that's on, that's the Saturday, so it's a back-to-back, so it's the immediately next day. Then they don't play again until Tuesday, April 5th, back in Toronto against the Hornets. So the game against the Spurs is in San Antonio. So Memphis and Spurs back-to-back Friday and Saturday, and then they're off until Tuesday when they play the Hornets. And then on Thursday, the 7th, they travel to Atlanta for another matchup against the Hawks, and then come back the next night to Toronto to play the Pacers. So a couple of teams that are kind of right beneath them, or still battling to get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those will be some key games there. Atlanta, Indiana. Then I see the last three games actually are the Knicks, Sixers, and the Nets. So.
Nets, yeah.
So it's a nice way to end the season. So I'm sure there'll be some resting, I think, for those three.
No, I would expect so. Yeah.
So that's it. Is there any Canadians who want to shout out for the Winningtons of the week? I know Andrew Wiggins had. I know he had this crazy dunk. Who was it against? Against Utah, was it? He dunked on somebody. Yeah. Andrew Wiggins.
Yep. Right down. I was about to say let him go down Main Street, but he jumped just inside the free throw line, it was kind of halfway between the restricted area and the free throw line, right in the middle there, and just cleared over. It was crazy. He definitely had his hops work in that game. I wanted to shout out Tyler Ennis, backup point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks. He had some big minutes a couple of games ago and had a career high 12 assists. So that was pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah, anybody for you, Yui? Any Canadians you want to shout out?
No, I'm just sad that Kansas lost in the NCAA tournament. That was tough. And Carolina's still going. Sean might get the upset over me in fantasy basketball. I'm hanging by a thread here, man.
Yeah. So so that's it for the podcast. Be sure to check out the blogs, hiphoopjunkies.com, hoopheadsnorth.com, and also check out our new sponsor, fanessentials.net. I'll have some more details on that up on the blogs. And that's episode 84, Hoops Talk at Halifax. We out.